Hello folks, I'm Alex, this is Alex Unabridged, and this is my arguably overambitious TBR for Garb August. So welcome back to the channel if that is the case. Yes, it's nearly time for a whole month of trashy reads. If you are watching this on the 31st of July, then happy Garb August Eve. Yes, TBR today, which was originally going to be a pile of possibilities, but then I can't help myself. And it's become a rather mammoth TBR. So I have given myself a challenge. I couldn't resist a challenge with Garb August. It is my favourite event. And yeah, I wanted to go, the whole hog. So my challenge is hit every weekly prompt, fill the whole bingo board, and read something from every decade for the last 100 years. And I have to do this without buying any new books. I'm very much on a budget at the moment with book buying. I don't want to go buying lots of new stuff just for Garb August. So I've decided I can use, obviously, stuff that I already own. Not that I have a lot of that in physical form, or digital for that matter. But anything within my existing subscriptions, so that's Kindle Unlimited and Audible, as well as anything I can find on places like Internet Archive, Project Gutenberg, general free stuff on Tinterwebs, anything that's free to access basically. So I have a master plan for this, how I complete this challenge. So let's get straight into it then. Buckle up, this might be a long one, just warning you. So then, week one, anything goes, literally anything. I will pop the bingo board graphic up, and then you can see where these books hopefully will fit on the bingo board and how I'm aiming to complete this. So the first book that I've got is The Vampire Knitting Club by Nancy Warren. This is an Audible Plus pick. So this is audiobook. The blurb for this says, at a crossroads between a cringeworthy past and an uncertain future, Lucy Swift travels to Oxford to visit her grandmother. With Gran's undying love to count on and Cardinal Wolsey's Gran's knitting shop to keep her busy, Lucy can catch her breath and figure out what she's going to do. Except it turns out that Gran is the undying, or at least the undead. But there's a death certificate and a will leaving the knitting shop to Lucy. And a lot of people going in and out who never use the door, including Gran, who is just as loving as ever, but prone to knitting sweaters at warp speed late at night. When Lucy discovers that Gran did not die peacefully in her sleep, but was murdered, she has to bring the killer to justice without tipping off the law that there's no body in the grave. Between a hot 500-year-old vampire and a dishy detective inspector, both of whom always seem to be there for her, Lucy finds her life getting more and more complicated than a triple cable cardigan. The only one who seems to know what's going on is her cat. Or is it her familiar? So yes, I thought I really like the sound. I really like the sound of this. I particularly love. I think what sold it on me is the name of the wool shop of Cardinal Wolsey's. Yeah, if that's the sense of humour, I'm in. So this will fit 2 bingo board squares. Sexy vamps. We've got reference there to a hot 500-year-old vampire. And a cosy mystery with cats, that lovely middle square in honour of Alice from Alice in the Giant Bookshelf. So yes, but there's definitely going to be cats in this, or a cat in this. So that's where that one will fit in. And this is from the 2010s. That's the decade that it fits into. Okay, next up then, we've got another audiobook from the Audible Plus catalogue, and this is Wasteland Warlords number 2 by James Hunter and Eden Hudson. This is a sequel to the first book that I read earlier this year for GARBAUGUST 2.5, The Wasted Weekend. This is a lit RPG, a literary role-playing game, set in a post-apocalyptic America where a game world has bled through into the real world, and our cast of characters have to survive the wasteland and fight their way through monster-infested zones to grab the best loot and gain special powers. I really enjoyed the first one. It was bonkers. It had like mecha raccoons with laser eyes and things like that in it, so I want more of that, please. This will go on the bingo board under weirdly specific subgenre. I think lit RPGs are, you know, fair game for that one. And this decade-wise is the 2020s. Okay, next up, I've got a Kindle Unlimited pick, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the IDW Collection, Volume 1, by various authors and artists. This is a new origin tale, epic tales of courage, loyalty, family, as the Turtles and their allies battle for survival against enemies old and new in the dangerous streets and sewers of New York City. I really enjoyed the cartoon from the 90s. It was one of those Saturday morning cartoons that I remember as a kid. I really liked that. But of course the Turtles have popped up in various different places: film, cartoons, games, comics, etc. And there's a certain trashiness to them for sure. And I really like them. And I've never read any of the IDW comics, so I'm going to have a crack at those. And this, of course, will go on the bingo board under Ninjas, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The decade that this fits into is the 2010s again. Okay then, into week 2 and category romance. I'm going for The Whim of the Gods by Mel R. Bright. This is a Kindle Unlimited pick. And this is described as a Howl's moving castle-inspired science fantasy male monster romance set in a post-apocalyptic world with giant monsters. I do like a bit of gay monster romance. I can't deny it. So this one will go on the bingo board under kinky sex. It does say in the trigger warnings for the book description, non-human genitalia. So I think that counts as kinky. And I'll put this in the modern trash, although I've got plenty of stuff that could go in the modern trash box from the bingo board. This goes in the 2020s decade as well. I think this came out this year. Okay, week 2 then, the other prompt for that week is Men's Adventure. So I've picked a bit more of a classic Men's Adventure, trashy Men's Adventure for this, and that's a book from the Executioner series by Don Pendleton, and it's the 9th book in the series, which is Vegas Vendetta. I thought that was appropriate, Vegas being one of the trashiest places around, I should think. This I found available to read on the Internet Archive as an online borrow thing, so you have to borrow it for an hour and read, you know, as much as you can, and then borrow it for another hour, etc. You can't download it, but I can at least read it. The description for this one then is: in Vegas, the executioner hits the mob where it hurts the most, the wallet. Mac Bolan has 50 seconds to cripple the mafia's operations in Las Vegas. 50 seconds to take out 10 gunmen, destroy a jeep and down a helicopter. 50 seconds to snatch millions of dollars away from the international crime syndicate that he declared war on so long ago. For 49 seconds, everything goes fine. So yes, so I'm looking forward to some more Executioner. I really enjoyed the one that I read last year, which was set in London. It was Soho something. But I had a good time with that. So we'll try some more Mac Bolan antics. On the bingo board, this covers a fair few slots. It's a good one, this one. It covers the long-running series, because I think there's, hundreds of these. It covers gangs, because we've got the mafia, gangsters. It covers vigilante, of course. And it also covers more than 2 guns on the cover. It took me a while to find one to cover this, and of course it was going to be a Mac Bolan book. And this goes into the decade for 1970s, this one. Okay, next up, still in Men's Adventure, I have got The Dante Conspiracy by James Becker. This is an Audible Plus pick, so this is an audiobook. And this is described as a chilling thriller perfect for fans of Dan Brown. When the body of a poetry professor is found tortured in a deserted barn outside Florence, Inspector Perini is assigned to the case. No murder of passion, it is clearly a professional job. When, hours later, thieves break into Dante's cenotaph, it seems the two crimes may be connected by some missing verses from the Divine Comedy. They could also contain a code so valuable someone is willing to murder for it. But who? And why? As the bodies pile up, Perini is in a deadly race to find the secret before the killers. The truth will prove more shocking than he could ever have possibly imagined. So I like the sound of that. It's quite short, should be hopefully fast-paced fun. This is another one for the 2020s, and this goes on the bingo board under conspiracy theory, of course. Okay, the last one for men's adventure is actually boys' adventure, and this is a magazine or a comic from the 1970s called Action. I found this for free online, and I've got a couple of copies of it, a couple of editions of it downloaded. And this will go on the moral panic square, mainly because it sparked some moral panic. I mean, in the 50s in Britain, a law was passed to ban certain comics. Often, like it was mainly like in the 50s, the EC comics, like Tales from the Crypt, things like that, because they were seen as potentially damaging to the youth in terms of their violence, things like that. And yeah, this was one that sparked that kind of moral panic in the 70s and was subsequently cancelled after an uproar that saw shops refuse to stock certain issues of it. But it's got great stuff in it, and what attracted me to it was Hookjaw the Shark story, and it's full of like military action stories, football stories, all the stuff that 70s boys apparently liked. So we'll give one of those a go, a nice short one to get the moral panic square on the bingo board. Okay, then into week 3, sex and or violence. And I think most of these will probably have both in them. So the first one then is, I could not resist this, Flacker Ferret Frenzy by Jerry Blaze. This is a Kindle Unlimited pick, and this is a novella, it's very short. And the description for this is, in a dying Missouri town, a drug addict on the run gets rid of his flacker in a ferret enclosure at the local pet store. However, the ferrets break open the baggie and consume the drugs, effectively turning them into paranoid, bloodthirsty, zombified creatures. Breaking free, the ferrets go on an epic, gory rampage through the area, killing and eating anyone that can't outrun them. And this is splatterpunk, so it's got trigger warnings for, graphic depictions of gore, violence, sex, nightmare fuel, that kind of thing. This will, of course, go on the bingo board under drugs and killer animals. This is another new one out, I think, this year, perhaps. Certainly 2020 is this one. And yeah, I could not resist anything about ferrets on the rampage. I love ferrets. I love all mustelids. So that's ferrets, stoats, weasels, pine martens, badgers, wolverines, things like that. Love them. Okay, next up then is Death Cult by Janelle Shika. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is also Kindle Unlimited. It's also a novella, a splatterpunk novella. This one I'm a little nervous of. This one is described as such. Having just graduated from college, Jason and Eddie are ready to let loose and embark on a cross-country road trip heading into the desert. Their situation takes a dark turn when they lose direction and find themselves at the entrance of a ghost town where the residents turn out to be a little off. Meanwhile, Carrie has just found herself in the depths of a murky lair. Quick reflexes aid in her concealment, but she soon discovers the utter horrors that lurk within the dark recesses. Tensions escalate as Jason, Eddie and Carrie come to grips with their new chilling realities. All the while, a dark evil begins to reveal itself. For within this stretch of desolate landscape exists a cannibal death cult, and they have an insatiable lust for blood. So yeah, I'm a little nervous of this because cannibal death cult. Not so great with cannibalism, but I'll give it a go. To be fair, I've not actually read anything about cannibalism. It's more just the concept. So I'll give that a go and see how I fare with it. So yes, this on the bingo board will of course go in cults. Okay, next up then for sex and or violence is The Morgo Rises by Peter Tremaine. This is a Kindle Unlimited pick. And this is a sea monster tale set just off the coast of Cornwall in the UK. Follows a father and son fisherman duo out on their boat when their boat gets smashed by something large, and horror ensues. This will go on the bingo board under exclamation point in the title, and also written under a pseudonym because Peter Tremaine his real name is Peter Beresford Ellis, and he's a historian, I believe, historian and writer, and has published under that name as well. So yes, this one is a 1980s book, so that's the decades, the 1980s sorted on that one. Next up, we've got Horror Smut by Christine Morgan, Kindle Unlimited again. I think it's probably what it says on the tin. The guiltiest of guilty pleasures, it says. Minotaur porn, witches, angels and demons, ancient bat gods, brutal Viking nastiness, hunger, perversion and revenge, a freaky pumpkin monster, all kinds of bodily fluids, taboos broken while you wait. Very not safe for work, and not the sort of thing decent people will want to be seen reading in public. That's in the blurb, so you think you can probably guess where this is going on the bingo board. Yes, it's going on the wouldn't want to be seen reading this on the bus. So that's 2020s again. I think that might be this year. It's very modern. So yes, that's that one filled. Okay, next up we've got Slugs by Sean Hudson, a classic. This is one of the few things that I own. I've got the ebook of this and I've had this for ages and still need to get to it. It's about killer slugs. What more do you need to know? And it's going on the bingo board as the host recommendation. This is Olly's recommendation. And this is another one for the 1980s as well. Okay, last up for the sex and or violence then, we've got Terror Tales. This is a pulpy magazine from the 1930s. I found this on the Internet Archive, and they are available to download, so I can read it as a PDF on my iPad. And this covers, quite obviously, the nudity on the cover, square on the bingo board. I love this cover. I think this cover is brilliant. That's what attracted me to it. And I thought, well, that definitely ticks that box, so we're having it. And it's a nice short read. And do you know what? I've never read any like old school pulpy magazines, so I think it's about time. If there's any time to do it, it's GARBAUGUST, damn it. So yes, so that ticks that one and the 1930s. Okay then, into week 4 and novelizations. The first one I've got is one that I do actually own, and that is this one, Elden Ring, The Road to the Erd Tree Volume 1. This is a tie-in to the Elden Ring video game, which I love, but it sounds a bit bonkers. It seems to be a bit more of a comedy in some respects, and that's not at all the tone of the game. So I'm very interested to dive into this and see what it's all about. This will go on the bingo board under Trash in Translation, with it being manga and translated from the Japanese. And it'll also hit the 2020s decade again. Yet more modern trash. I love my modern trash. Okay, next up is a Kindle Unlimited pick, and I can't do GARBAUGUST without having an alien book, a tie-in of some sort, on this list. And this one is Alien Isolation by Keith A. DiCandido. This is the official adaptation of Alien Isolation, the video game, and is a look into the lives of Ellen Ripley from the original Alien film and her daughter Amanda Ripley. So from birth, Amanda Ripley's life is riddled with hardship. Her parents live on the edge of poverty, which is what inspires Ellen Ripley to go off and seek off-world contacts, leading to this position on the Nostromo. But then when that disappears, Amanda passes into adulthood focused on one thing only, and that is discovering what happened to her mum. So Amanda travels to the remote Sevastopol station, and there she hopes to find the answers that she seeks. But the station is in ruins, and death stalks the corridors in the form of a deadly alien, the likes of which she never could have imagined. So yeah, I'm really interested in reading this one because I've not played the game. It's way too scary for me, but I have watched the game being played in its entirety by friends and by, YouTubers. And it's one that I find highly amusing to watch because it's very much a kind of a stealth, sneaky game. So I'm very interested to see how they handle the tension that you get in the game, in the book. It could be a really good tense read, I'm hoping. So on the bingo board, this covers based on a video game, of course, and also I'm going to use this one for green on the cover, which is of course the centre square again. So I might get 2 for the centre square, just because then I'm reading something that honours both Alice and then for this Pax with green on the cover. This one is from the 2010s, so I've already covered that decade anyway, but that's another one for the 2010s. Okay, next up I've got Child's Play 3, the novelisation by Matthew J. Costello. This is another one that is available to borrow on Internet Archive as an online loan. I've never seen any of the Child's Play movies. Even the covers for the videos when I was a kid scared the crap out of me. So I've never watched them. But I do know the general premise. So I thought, why not jump in to a series that I've never seen the films of, and why not do it with the third in the series? Why not, eh? So this one will go on the bingo board under slasher, supernatural slasher, but slasher nonetheless. And this will cover the decade of the 1990s. Okay, so that's kind of most of my books. But I've still got 2 squares left to fill on the bingo board, and they will be done with movies. So we've got Killer Kids, and I'll be using Village of the Damned from 1960, which is based on the Midwich Cuckoos by John Wyndham. I've never seen this before. I've only seen clips of it, but it looks great and quite old school trashy. So I'm going to give that a go. I can find that online quite easily. So yeah, I'm going to give that a crack for Killer Kids. And then there's the square, which I knew would cause me problems. And that is the 3D movie or step back cover. Now, most of the stuff that I've sourced, obviously for this, is online. It's ebooks or audiobooks or, Internet Archive, electronic stuff. So I'm not going to get a step back cover for that. And I don't want to buy them, and they are expensive as well. Trying to find them on eBay and stuff, it's like they're quite pricey as well. So I'm going to go for the 3D movie instead. Now, I own The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey on 3D Blu-ray, and I've got a mate who I think still owns a 3D TV, so that could hopefully work. But if not that, then I think I'll have a trip to the cinema, see something trashy in 3D. Deadpool and Wolverine is out in 3D, and Borderlands comes out, which is a film based off a video game. That comes out on the 8th of August, and I'm hoping that there'll be 3D showings of that, because I'd rather watch that than Deadpool and Wolverine. But yeah, I'm going to try and fill that with a 3D movie somehow. So that is the bingo board, theoretically filled. I've just got to read and watch all the damn stuff now. So to mop up the remaining prompts and decades then. So there's one prompt left from the weekly prompts that I haven't filled yet, which is from week 4, and it is a book turned into a 70s or 80s miniseries. This one I am going to go for Salem's Lot by Stephen King, because I own the audiobook and I've listened to it and read the book several times before. So that's a good one for me, because I can have that on when I'm like doing artwork and stuff, and like I don't need to concentrate quite so much on, something that like, if I've not read something before, I don't want to miss things. Whereas Salem's Lot, I know quite well and I can re-listen to it, and I love it as well. It's one of my favourite Kings. And that was made into a two-part miniseries, I believe, in 1979, according to the internet. So that's that one sorted. And then the other decades that I need to mop up, I'm going to do that with some more pulpy magazines, mostly, as they're shorter reads. And as I say, I've never read any, so I'm very intrigued. So the 1920s is going to be filled by amazing stories. This was an Internet Archive download. Internet Archive for pulpy magazines, by the way, flipping brilliant. Go if you want loads of different older vintage, you know, trashy and non-trashy magazines. Internet Archive. Yes, so amazing stories. I just love this cover with this giant fly monster on it, so that's going in. 1940s is going to be covered by Weird Tales. Again, I love this cover. So this one is from 1947. I've got this downloaded as well. And this is, you know, it's got stories from, you know, authors that I know as well in it, so that'll be interesting to see some of that. The 1950s will be covered by something that I've already got on my on my science fiction for the somewhat hesitant reading project reads for August, and that is The Body Snatchers from 1955 by Jack Finney, and of course there's the film as well, or several films of The Body Snatchers, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So I'll be watching some of those as well. But yes, so I thought, I don't know whether would you class this as trash? I'm classing it as trash. But yeah, I think it's trashy enough to put in there. Then the 1960s, I have found an edition of Confidential Detective on Internet Archive. This one looks very trashy. This is true crime stuff in that kind of very sort of tabloidy, pulpy, sort of sensationalist sort of form by the looks of it. And then I've got one more left to cover, which is the 2000s. And so I've got one comic to cover that final decade, and that will be Ultimatum, the Marvel comic. This is from Kindle Unlimited. Ultimatum, from what I know of it, was quite controversial. It's very over-the-top violence. It's got some really it ruffled quite a lot of feathers at the time, and it is one of the trashier comics, I think, from what I know about it. So I'm going to finally get around to reading that. I only know what I've heard of the shock factors to it, so I'm going to read it and find out for myself exactly how bad or how good it is. So that's everything. That's not a lot, is it? Wait, no, there's one more thing. I will, of course, be reading my way through the Garbology anthology during the month. And if that spills into September, that's fine. I'm not going to try and get through all of that necessarily in the month, but I will definitely make a good start. And if there's anything in there that fits on the bingo boards, I might shift things around. So we'll see, but I'll definitely be reading that during August as well. So an absolute ton of stuff to read, listen to, etc. Will I get through it all? That's anyone's guess. You can follow my progress in my weekly vlogs. I will be kind of updating on my progress in those, or you can wait until September when I will do a full-on Garbaugust wrap-up, and we'll find out whether I managed to complete my challenge. So yes, so that will do for today. This would already be a long video, I expect. But thank you very much for watching, folks. Do drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do let me know if there's anything that I've mentioned today that you've got on your Garbaugust reading list, or anything that you've read that you're particularly looking forward to my reaction on, etc. I will be back on Friday with something less trashy, well, sort of. I will have my wrap-up for Planet of the Apes, and We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. Those are my science fiction reading project books for July, so I'll have my wrap-up for those on Friday. And I will be back with more Garbaugust content, no doubt, throughout the month of August. So I do hope you'll join me for all of that coming soon. But from me, for now, stay trashy.